Hello everyone, my name's NoxusBot and welcome back to some more Star Citizen goodness. Today, instead of another ship or gameplay video, we're going to have a little bit of a focus on the next update for Star Citizen, Alpha 3.3. I've harped on a lot lately about 3.3, as have lots of other commentators doing content for the game, and I can honestly see why, to both supporters and critics of Star Citizen alike, we're almost starting to sound like some kind of nerdy cult that worships decimal points. I can assure you this isn't the case. I suck at maths, by the way, but the reason we're going on about 3.3 so much is because this next big update for Star Citizen is going to be the biggest, bar none, even after they've moved things about on the roadmap. I want to walk you through what's coming, taking from the current roadmap, what each part is and its importance compared to the live alpha we currently have now, as well as any little side tangents we might slip down along the way. We'll start with the core game tech, which, and I apologise if you're getting a bit sick of hearing me say this, is the most important part of what we have to come. There are three main components of the game engine that are critical to be able to expand the current playable game area without having everyone who wants to play Star Citizen owning a supercomputer of a gaming PC. These are network bind culling, object container streaming, and server meshing. We're getting network bind culling and object container streaming in 3.3. Server meshing is slated for the end of the year patch, and hopefully at that time CIG will be able to continue expanding the universe without having to build or wait on more game technologies. I've already explained in a past video how this works in a basic fashion, but then I also pointed out there's a brilliant Reddit post that does that for you. I'll link that in the description again. This enables us to limitlessly expand the playable area of the game as the content is streamed in and out of your game client on the fly. A very basic way to give you perspective on this is like a view distance slider in any other game. The further away you have to see, the more computing power you need. At the moment it's set to full distance so you can see everything. With OCS and bind culling, it's become more of a server coded distance as it moves relevant content in and out. More core tech we're getting is also face and voice over IP. This is essentially an in-game communication ability to make the game's immersion much more complete. If you want to switch things up outside of a normal voice service, like Discord or TeamSpeak, VoIP and FOIP, as they will now be called, it makes them sound like awful gaming villains, will allow you to talk through your in-game character. If you speak, it will come from the character on screen, or where you can hear it from. There's going to be a hearing range as well. So you can basically have sneaky convos for role-playing purposes. It lets you do cool things like eavesdrop and opens up other alternatives. Face over IP is a bit more intense. If you've got a webcam handy, it essentially tracks the motion of your face and translates it onto your character. Smile and your character smiles. Grimace and you grimace. Laugh and your character laughs, and so on. Very cool, very immersive, and so much opportunity for adult theme memes and Reddit karma. With object container streaming and network bind culling implemented, we'll move on to what I personally think is going to be one of the next big parts: locations. Currently within the alpha, we're in the Stanton system of Star Citizen's giant star map. What we have to play with is Crusader, which, a gas giant, admittedly we can't really do a lot with. It's pretty, but at the moment you can't exactly land on it. There's plans for stations in atmosphere later, but right now it's just a big ball. We also have Crusader's moons, Daymar, Yila and Selin. They each have their own little orbital stations to visit, and they're all pretty in their own ways. We also have Delamar, which isn't officially part of Stanton, but it's there for us to play with because it has Levski. With the addition of 3.3, the Stanton system is getting expanded. We're getting Hurston, a bona fide full-fledged planet for us to land on now. Hurston isn't a pretty planet by what's going to be an incoming standard compared to a lot of the universe's other worlds. It's a planet that's had its biosphere utterly ravaged by excessive resource mining and consumption, but it's important to be able to flex the environmental tech that CIG have been working on. In that sense, Hurston's going to have a range of biomes for us to explore. The Industrial City biome, which contains an industrial city itself, Lorville, which is the corporation headquarters for Hurston, with a big landing and import zone. There's going to be trash biomes, exactly like they sound, giant areas of landfill where everyone's crap has been dumped, basically. Mesa biomes, giant varying areas of hilltop landscape for everyone to thrash the cyclones around in. Acid biomes, toxic areas with pools of pure acid. It'll be interesting to see if they tie into another mechanic, more on that later. Quarry biomes, where miners can basically get their fill by carrying on the extraction of materials that the Hurston Corp began. Savanna biomes, these I can't wait to visit because it'll be one of the more pleasant places on the planet where we can actually remove our helmets and not have our heads explode from vacuum. These also include forest biomes, which is another awesome place for lots of potential with spaceship landscape wallpaper mashups, as well as water, which we will have basic mechanics to go and jump into. This is what I want to see in the acid biomes. Will this actually hurt or ruin your ship if you decide to dump your ship in an acid pool? Along with this new giant shiny playground, we'll also have 4 more moons to go and explore, each with their own new and diverse terrain. Ariel, Aberdeen, Magda and Ita. Ita? One or the other. The addition of Hurston and its moons combined more than doubles the amount of area we currently have to play with in the alpha, allowing us to begin to realise the scale of things to come once more and more systems are added, and we get jump gates to let us move to those other systems in-game. If you love your sandbox games, it obviously gives us a fair bit more scope to go and dabble with. Another location we're getting as such is the first iteration of the rest stops, modular space stations, one of which will originally replace Port Olisar. We aren't done either, there's still plenty more stuff to come. We'll be getting ship system degradation. This means that the components and weaponry on your ship will now have wear and tear, making ship repairs more of a necessity rather than something you just do after you've had a dogfight, if you live. We'll be also getting scramble race missions. These have players race across the surface of a moon in ground vehicles to race and collect for beacons, presumably for cash prizes. For mining, we'll be able to mine on asteroids now within belts, as opposed to just on the surfaces of planetary bodies. I know lots of my old members are looking forward to that one. We'll be able to rent ships and gear within Arena Commander using our rec in-game, a big step for getting ship rentals and purchases into the persistent universe. Come on CIG, please get this done, you're going to give poor board gamer an aneurysm. A new iteration of the group system will be coming too, making further improvements on the one we have, which apart from some party invite and party leaving bugs, hi Warbot, isn't actually too shabby at all. Another big feature we're meant to be getting, although it's bouncing around the roadmap a bit, is FPS combat AI. It's my understanding that for all intents and purposes this is going to be in the 3.3 build, so we'll run with it. This will enable NPC controlled soldiers around wherever CIG basically decides to put them. It could be patrolling a space station, like Security Post Korea to help maintain the peace, or it could be pirate NPCs waiting to jump you as you're trying to collect a black box, or identify corpses on a crashed ship. It'll add a lot more of a risk-reward to such missions and make them a lot more interesting than just go to point A, click on body and profit, which is what we have now. Speaking of NPC AI, the NPC ships will have improved behaviours as well. One example being they will know if you're tailing them to get a lock or some such, and they'll be able to react accordingly to try and shake you off. Both of these go hand in hand with the new no-fly zones that will be coming into effect in 3.3 as well. These are meant to replace the current armistice zones that are in-game where your weapons are disabled. CIG don't want these armistice zones, so they're due to be replaced. Now, your weapons will fire, but if you're daft enough to do so, you'll get jumped by local security forces to expedite your removal. Other additions include some more clothing and armour. We'll be getting a rework of the RSI flight suits, so the Green Desert noob suit you get to begin with will change, as well as armour and clothing based on designs for Hurston. There was some really cool concept armour showing off these pieces a while back, almost like a nomadic bounty hunter looking piece. Some more weapons are in the pipeline for 3.3 as well. This includes the Kastak Arms Karna, what I think, because we don't have that much info on it, is a plasma rifle. It looks very cool if over-engineered, as well as a range of Hurston Dynamics ship weaponry to go with the new planet. Last but not least, of course, are the ship additions for 3.3. With the next patch coming, the Mustang finally gets its rework implemented, so much like the Avenger did for 3.2, I can see the Mustang making a big resurgence as a great starter ship, for those who fancy a bit of a different design and a ship layout, especially for something like the Mustang Beta. The Tumbril Cyclone will have its variants added as well. Those include racing, one with a giant person killing gun on it, one with giant missiles on it, and so on. I'm pretty happy with my default one, but they all have a niche for those who are able to wriggle them into those spots on the ground and use them accordingly. The Constellation Phoenix is making its arrival as well. This is the luxury touring version of the Connie, made to be RSI's slightly smaller answer to the Origin's 600i, the touring version. I'm very much interested in one of these, and I personally can't wait to start playing around with one in the PTU to see if I want to upgrade one of my ships to one to go hand in hand with my 600i. And finally, before all the combat pilots burst, we have the Aegis Hammerhead, a massive spacefaring gunship that when fully manned is designed to be a giant middle finger to anything it doesn't like the look of. I don't really want to own one myself, but when you've got one of these things fully crewed with people, I imagine watching one of them take on a fleet of ships will be something pretty epic to watch. There we are then folks, 3.3 summarised for you. This patch is a bit different. As opposed to it dropping at the end of September as the quarter ends, they're pushing it to live in tandem with CitizenCon because of the scheduling conflict, which will be on or around October the 10th, although we should have a fully fledged PTU by then with which to break anything with anyway. With 2 out of the 3 major game engine components coming in, I feel this is the point where CIG can prove that they've finally found their footing for really getting the alpha off the ground. We shouldn't be having any more feature creep anymore, as I don't think there's many more shiny things they can drop into the pool. Not to mention they've proven they can really work well with the quarterly release schedule now. They're 2 for 2, and if we can get the major game engine parts finished by the end of the year, then CIG are really going to enable things to pick up steam, both for the in-game universe and for all the ships that we have concepts for but have yet to see modelled or put into game. CitizenCon is also going to bring its own surprises to the table too, I'm sure, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing what we might see. More to see what we might be getting for 3.3 or 3.4 if they drop 1 or 2 neat little surprises in. Thank you for watching then guys. If you found this useful then please drop a like or feel free to sub so you can catch the updates, and I will see you next time.